Hard times often create the most unforgettable food, and the title you clicked on says it all. Today, we are diving into 10 cheap recipes our grandparents used to survive the 1960s hard times. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to America's Lost Recipes, because every week we uncover the flavors that shaped real American families. The 1960s were not only a decade of music, change, and movement. They were also a time when countless households relied on creativity to make every meal count. Food budgets were tight. Ingredients were simple. Yet families still found ways to bring comfort to the dinner table. These recipes mattered because they helped people push through long days, uncertain moments, and constant pressure to stretch whatever they had. Each dish you will see today tells more than a story about food. It tells a story about survival. A story about the small victories that happened inside kitchens where the heat of the stove replaced the heat of the world outside. Our grandparents used these meals to keep everyone fed, to keep spirits steady, and to remind the family that even during struggle, there could still be warmth. You need to watch the full video, because these dishes reveal how resourceful past generations truly were. They show how a handful of ingredients could build hope. They show how simple meals created memories that still echo through family stories. If you skip ahead, you will miss the deeper meaning behind why these recipes disappeared, and why they deserve a place in our understanding of American food history. So take a breath, step back in time, and prepare to rediscover 10 humble meals that helped an entire generation push forward with strength and heart. Let us begin. Sloppy Joe Bake, 1960s family classic. The Sloppy Joe Bake was a midweek savior in 1960s kitchens. Families needed meals that were simple, affordable, and filling, and this dish delivered on every count. Unlike the classic sandwich version, the Sloppy Joe Bake transformed ground beef into a convenient casserole that could feed an entire family with minimal effort. The preparation began with ground beef, cooked until brown and mixed with onions for added flavor. Ketchup, mustard, and occasionally a touch of brown sugar were combined to create a sweet and savory sauce. This mixture captured the essence of the original Sloppy Joe while stretching a limited amount of meat into a hearty meal. The baked dish was then topped with shredded cheddar cheese, and sometimes slices of buttered white bread or biscuit dough were used as a crust, absorbing the flavors and creating a golden, bubbly topping. This casserole was practical, economical, and satisfying. It represented the ingenuity of a generation that knew how to make every ingredient count. Nothing was wasted, and every meal provided both nourishment and comfort. Children loved the rich, savory flavor, while parents appreciated the simplicity and low cost. Beyond its taste, the Sloppy Joe Bake carried a deeper significance. It embodied resilience, resourcefulness, and the warmth of a family gathered around the dinner table. Each bite was a reminder of the creativity that sustained households through hard times, turning modest pantry staples into something special. Although modern kitchens rarely see this dish, it remains a symbol of 1960s American cooking. It reminds us that affordability and flavor are not mutually exclusive, and that the meals of our grandparents' generation were made with both care and imagination. The Sloppy Joe Bake is not just food. It is history served hot, comforting, and hearty. Mock chicken legs, clever comfort of the 1960s. Mock chicken legs, also known as city chicken, was a clever solution for families during hard times in the 1960s. Real chicken was expensive, but households still wanted to serve something that looked special on the dinner table. This dish transformed inexpensive pork or veal into a playful illusion, shaped to resemble chicken drumsticks. It demonstrated the resourcefulness of a generation that valued both economy and presentation. The preparation began with small cubes of meat, carefully skewered onto wooden sticks to mimic the shape of a drumstick. The meat was then seasoned, rolled in flour and breadcrumbs, and pan-fried until golden brown. Some households finished the dish in the oven or simmered it in a rich gravy to ensure tenderness. The final result was surprisingly convincing, both in appearance and flavor. Families loved this dish not only for its practicality but also for the charm it brought to the table. Children were delighted by the playful presentation, believing they were enjoying real chicken. Parents and grandparents appreciated the cleverness in stretching limited meat into a dish that looked and tasted luxurious. The skewered meat, crisp on the outside and tender on the inside, paired beautifully with mashed potatoes or simple vegetables, creating a complete family meal. Mock chicken legs is a perfect example of mid-century American ingenuity. It shows how necessity inspired creativity, turning modest ingredients into a satisfying and impressive dish. It reminds us that cooking was not just about nourishment, but also about bringing joy and a sense of occasion to everyday life. Although this recipe has nearly vanished from modern kitchens, it carries the nostalgia of 1960s family dinners and the resourceful spirit of our grandparents. It is a reminder that with imagination, even the simplest ingredients can create memorable meals. Pineapple upside-down cake, a 1960s celebration on a plate. Pineapple upside-down cake was a centerpiece of 1960s family celebrations, appearing on tables for birthdays, Sunday dinners, and special occasions. Despite its striking appearance, this dessert was surprisingly practical. It used ingredients that were often already in the pantry, most notably canned pineapple and maraschino cherries, making it an accessible yet impressive treat. The preparation began by melting butter and brown sugar in a pan, creating a syrup that would caramelize the fruit. Pineapple rings were arranged neatly over the syrup, each topped with a bright red cherry. The cake batter, simple and often made from scratch, was poured over the fruit and baked until golden and firm. Once flipped, the pineapple rings glistened atop the cake, perfectly caramelized, and the cherries added a festive pop of color. This dessert was both practical and celebratory, a reflection of mid-century ingenuity. Housewives and home cooks could create a visually stunning dish without expensive ingredients, demonstrating resourcefulness while still impressing guests. The cake's sweet and buttery flavor paired with the soft, spongy texture made it appealing to children and adults alike. Beyond its taste, pineapple upside-down cake carried a deeper emotional resonance. It represented the care and pride families placed in their cooking, the effort to make every occasion special even during times of financial restraint. Each slice brought warmth to the table and created lasting memories for generations. Although it has mostly disappeared from modern kitchens, this cake is a symbol of 1960s comfort, creativity, and the simple joy of shared family moments. It reminds us that even in challenging times, food could be both beautiful and nourishing. Pineapple upside-down cake is more than dessert, it is history, nostalgia, and celebration baked into a single, unforgettable dish. Meatloaf with oatmeal, frugal comfort of the 1960s. Meatloaf with oatmeal was a staple of 1960s kitchens, embodying both practicality and comfort. Families faced tight budgets, yet they still wanted meals that were hearty and satisfying. Adding oatmeal to the meat mixture was a clever solution. It stretched the ground beef, created a tender texture, and allowed a single pound to feed the entire family, making it both economical and nourishing. The preparation began by combining seasoned ground beef with rolled oats, diced onions, eggs, and sometimes a bit of milk. This mixture was shaped into a neat loaf and placed in a baking dish. Many households topped it with a glossy layer of ketchup, or a mixture of brown sugar and mustard, which caramelized in the oven to form a flavorful crust. As it baked slowly, the meatloaf filled kitchens with a comforting aroma, signaling warmth and sustenance to everyone at home. Meatloaf with oatmeal was more than just a frugal meal, it was a symbol of care and resilience. Mothers and grandmothers who prepared it knew that every ingredient mattered and that even a simple loaf of meat could provide love, nourishment, and pride. Each slice offered both sustenance and a sense of stability in a world where families had to be resourceful and inventive with what they had. This dish also carried strong emotional resonance. It brought families together around the dinner table, creating shared memories of evenings spent eating, laughing, and appreciating the simple joys of life. For children, it was comfort on a plate. For parents, it was a testament to ingenuity and dedication. Though rarely seen in modern kitchens, meatloaf with oatmeal remains a reminder of the 1960s spirit, practical, hearty, and filled with care. It is a dish that nourished bodies, hearts, and memories alike. Frankfurter casserole, budget-friendly comfort of the 1960s. Frankfurter casserole was a practical and beloved dish in 1960s kitchens. Hot dogs were inexpensive, versatile, and easy to find, yet families wanted more than just a quick snack. This casserole transformed simple Frankfurters into a warm, filling dinner, demonstrating the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the generation that navigated tight budgets with creativity. The preparation began by browning sliced hot dogs in a pan to develop flavor. They were then combined with cooked elbow macaroni, canned tomato soup, diced onions, and shredded cheddar cheese. Some households added vegetables such as corn or peas to stretch the dish further while adding color and nutrition. Once combined, the mixture was poured into a baking dish, topped with breadcrumbs or additional cheese, and baked until bubbling and golden. The final result was hearty, comforting, and visually appealing, making even modest ingredients feel special. This casserole was more than a convenient meal, it was a reflection of the 1960s family kitchen. Parents appreciated the affordability and ease, while children loved the cheesy, savory taste. It showcased the cleverness of cooks who could turn ordinary pantry staples into a satisfying family dinner. Frankfurter casserole exemplified the balance of practicality and warmth, proving that even inexpensive ingredients could nourish both body and spirit. Beyond its taste, the casserole carried memories of shared dinners, busy evenings, and family togetherness. It reflected the era's emphasis on resourcefulness and care, where every ingredient served a purpose, and every meal created a sense of comfort. Though it is seldom seen in modern kitchens today, Frankfurter casserole remains a symbol of 1960s ingenuity, affordability, and nostalgia. It is a simple dish with a lasting legacy, reminding us that humble ingredients can create extraordinary meals when prepared with heart. Tapioca pudding, cozy 1960s comfort dessert. Tapioca pudding was a cherished dessert in 1960s kitchens, offering warmth, nostalgia, and simple indulgence. Its popularity stemmed from both practicality and comforting taste. Made from basic ingredients such as tapioca pearls, milk, sugar, eggs, and sometimes vanilla, this dessert was easy to prepare and accessible, yet it provided a rich, satisfying experience for the entire family. The preparation began by slowly cooking small tapioca pearls in milk, allowing them to soften and absorb the liquid, creating a creamy, pudding-like consistency. Eggs were often added to enrich the mixture, giving the pudding body and smoothness. Gentle stirring was essential to ensure the pearls did not clump and that the pudding reached the perfect texture, thick, soft, and luscious. Once cooked, it could be served warm for cozy evenings or chilled for a refreshing treat. Tapioca pudding offered a unique texture and flavor, unlike any other dessert of its time. Each spoonful carried a delicate chewiness from the pearls, combined with the comforting sweetness of milk and sugar. For children, it was a playful and delightful dessert, while adults appreciated its simplicity and the care required to prepare it properly. Beyond flavor, this pudding carried emotional significance. It evoked memories of mothers or grandmothers stirring gently over the stove, filling the kitchen with warmth and love. It was a dessert that symbolized home, family, and thoughtful care, reflecting the resourcefulness of 1960s cooks who created joy from simple ingredients. Though largely forgotten in modern kitchens, tapioca pudding remains a testament to the comforting and inventive spirit of the era. It is more than a dessert, it is a reminder of the past, of patience, love, and the small pleasures that made family kitchens feel like the heart of the home.